First thing I want to do, though, before we get started, is I'd like everybody to remember why we're here. We are Black First. Black First means that we believe the Black community comes first, that Black wealth matters more than anybody else's wealth. We save ourselves before we save everybody else. And if you agree with that, then put hashtag B1 in the chat. Hashtag B1 means that you're Black First, so we can have a conversation where we love each other and lift each other up, as opposed to fighting. We don't fight on this channel unless we disagree. We debate. You got to fight because we love each other. So put your hashtag B1 in the chat if you agree with what we're saying here. And also make sure you hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button. So today's conversation is this. Can a woman be attracted to a broke ass man? I think that's the way to start this conversation. When you talk about Black love and Black relationships, there's a constant debate about wealth and money and what role money does play, what role money should play. You hear terms like gold digger. You hear terms that say, well, money shouldn't matter at all, and which I, by the way, I don't agree with that at all. But the panelists are going to jump in on this. So first of all, let me mention to you all who the panelists are for today. Ladies first, we have Nomalanga Mushali Moses, who's out of Botswana. Nomalanga runs the Black Homeschool Guide.com. She also was the 2012 Mrs. Botswana. How you doing today, Noma?
Okay.
All right, and we also have. She has a little bit of a delay. Noma does, I think. So
great,
that's why.
boys. How are you?
Oh, doing well. I think you have a little bit of a delay. So I'll try. I'll be patient with that. And also, we have Miss S.T. Brown, who is a relationship therapist and a very smart lady who is out of New York City. How you doing today, Tia?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Hello to everyone on the panel.
And we have Mary Dean from FlyNubianQueenTV.com. She's also the Black Wall Street. Is it the Wall Street Lawyer? Is that it? Okay, I was going to say Black Walls. The Wall Street Lawyer, the WallStreetLawyer.com. How you doing today, Mary?
Good. Hi. Good morning.
All right. And in the men, we have John F. Thomas, an award-winning filmmaker, writer, and director out of LA. How you doing today, John?
I'm doing good, man. How's everybody? Hope everybody's good.
Good. All right. And also Jeff Lightsey Jr. from the Black Boss Channel. How you doing today, Jeff?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
All right, going well. Okay, so let's start with let's take it from the top. I'll ask the basic question. So start with you, Nomalanga. So how should wealth even come into the equation of choosing a mate? Should money even matter, and if so, why? I think Nomalanga's frozen.
Okay, so yeah.
Uh-oh. There we go. Hey, Noma?
It looks like my mic is muted. Yes.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. I thought my mic was muted.
Yeah,
but it's unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. We got a big delay, so I'm gonna be patient with that. So go ahead, Noma.
So I believe the only relationships that really matter are marriage relationships, and those relationships are obviously established for our well-being, for us to stabilize over many years, hundreds of years. So for me, it's hard to understand how a man can be a protector and a provider when he has no money. So that's a very simple answer for me. If you're attracted to a broke, and okay, I want to be careful about broke because I believe broke is temporary. You can be broke, but a man has to show you that broke is a temporary state and that poverty is not his destiny, and that if you tie your life to him, poverty is not going to be your destiny. But certainly we can tolerate broke, but it has to have a plan with it to get out of that state.
Okay, so broke with a plan is okay, or so because broke is supposed to be temporary. So Tia, Noma talked about providing and protecting. What about women who don't feel that they need to be provided for and protected for, or protected? Do you think that that's even doable, or do you think that's common, or do you think that every woman needs to be provided for and protected, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that every woman has the right to determine what she needs in a partner. And so that partnership will look different based on her needs and her desires. But I do think that there is something to the dating process and learning and understanding what you need in a partner. So while I do think that having if you're interested in being married and having that bond and that connection and that relationship is the ultimate goal, there are things you learn along the way. Now, when it comes to broke, I totally agree with No Malenga. I don't think broke is about finances alone. I think when we look at women, specifically professional women or any woman with any level of ambition, the biggest thing is having someone who matches your ambition, who compliments you, who supports you. We see women dating all types of men, rich men who are definitely not broke, but treating them poorly. And that is bad in its own way. You can be in a huge house and be emotionally abused, financially abused, have no access to your resources, not feel protected, not feel loved. So when we think about brokenness, I'm really looking at it from a value perspective. Do we share values? Do you value me? Do you respect me? Now, in practical terms, yes, it's important to have someone who is able to not only take care of themselves, but if they're looking to be in a relationship, they need to have a plan. Right? So that plan should include financial security for themselves and the people that they have determined that they would partner with and be with.
Okay, so one of the things that I find interesting is that it seems to me like it's getting tougher and more confusing to be a man, honestly. That in the sense that if you it's hard to go out and do well and make money, especially when you're a black man, right? It's you just have to play the chess game a little bit differently from everybody else because you don't have the same opportunities. So you figure that part out. And once you figure that part out, then you got all these other things like, oh, by the way, I need you to be emotionally like this. And I need you to pay attention to me like that. And I need you to do this and do that. And I think for some guys, it might feel a little bit overwhelming to say, wait, where's the instruction manual? Like, I don't, I'm losing track. And then you see pretty high divorce rates. And a lot of times the divorce rates that I see in America come from women complaining about their husbands. Well, he had plenty of money, but he was emotionally abusive and he wasn't nice to me, right? And then, or he was very nice, but I can't be with a man who has no ambition and doesn't make any money. I don't know. What do you guys think? John, I'll start with you. Do you think that sometimes it's a little bit confusing figuring out what you're even supposed to do as a man? Like, how does that feel for you?
Yeah, it can be confusing, especially I guess the field that I'm in, because I'm in entertainment. Because on one hand, you're supposed to be, the provider. You're supposed to make this money and take her out on dates, and stuff like that. And they can get expensive. I mean, same thing like that Cosby Show episode. I don't know if y'all remember when Theo was talking about I'm not going to college, and then he was like, "Oh, you planning on having a girlfriend?" He was like, "Yep." Yanked that money out of his hand. Like, nah, you might as well. You're gonna be broke. So. I feel like that because it's like kind of like the struggle in a sense where it's just like I'm trying to be ambitious. I have all these goals and plans and things like that, and I'm doing what a man should do is I'm working and strategizing and doing all this stuff. So either my time is sacrificed to where I can't spend as much time with you as I'd like, and that's a problem, or I don't have enough money to just go out to eat all the time. And I live in LA. LA is expensive. So it's like way more expensive than being in the South. So I have to consider all of these things. So especially my last relationship, it was a constant struggle because it was like, I'm trying to get you to understand this. I have this plan, but we're not on the same page per se, because it's like, well, we don't go out to eat a lot. We don't go out and do this. We don't go out and like that stuff costs money. So I feel torn at times in that sense.
Okay. So Mary Dean, John says he was a man with a plan. So even when he didn't have all the money, he had a plan to figure some things out. Do we value the man with the plan, or do we compare the man with the plan with no money unfairly to the man who's got the money because maybe some of his plan is already worked out? How do you think that should play out? Do you think that there's a lot of unnecessary pressure, or do you think guys just aren't ready to step up to the plate?
Well, I hate to put people in a lump, and I like to think that everybody is their own individual relationships. My sister is an interesting situation, and I love telling her story. She started out with her man. Now, her man helped her get through nursing school when they were younger. So when they got older, he started a new business, and they lived off of her salary for a couple of years. But eventually his business took off, and now they're doing $1 million in payroll every month, and she is no longer a nurse at her job anymore. And so I think that their relationship had the kind of foundation that it took for her to be able to support her man through that kind of a situation, because he supported her in the beginning, though. And if a man does not step up in the beginning and be that for you, I think that a lot of women will find that situation a little bit difficult to do. But if someone held you down and helped you come up a little bit, then yes, and y'all have that kind of bond. I think the bond is what is most important. We're all individuals. There are situations where women are big, butchy, and man is in a skirt, so to speak. And that works for them. So I think that everybody is entitled to make their own rules in their love life.
Okay. So Ro just joined us. Ro, you're gonna have to say your last name because every time I say it, I mess it up. I'm practicing, I promise. So Ro is out of the country. Are you in France, Ro? Is that where you are?
Yeah, we live in France.
Okay, Ro lives in France. So you have an international perspective. Tell us about American relationships and gender roles. I almost wonder if we're a little bit confused, and that confusion creates some chaos. What are your thoughts on that?
We're not just a little bit confused. We're so confused that it's almost the end. There are not going to be more and more and more Black American relationships. As you all can tell and see, it's getting really deep. It's getting really desperate. And males are unable to be men, and females are being the husbands of these males and letting them man up and pay things for them and letting them take care of expenses while they hold each other down. And all of that causes emasculation that people are not aware of. Women are not supposed to use their money to try to save males. And so what we have done is, again, I want to remind everyone that we live in a bubble of ignorance and confusion. We are totally, totally disconnected from our roots. It is completely unheard of for an African man to even open a pot in certain nations. It is completely taboo. You're emasculating a man by putting him in a role that is opposite of warrior. We don't have warriors. Black men are supposed to be warriors. When a man gets married, when an African man gets married, he knows very clearly that he feels like he should have a big S on his chest, because that's the day that he becomes his wife's superhero, her warrior. So what we have done in Black America is cause the Black women to be in a position of warrior, provider, savior of all of these males. And in reality, there are several specific things that we can do, actual steps that we can take to turn things around, because it is true that Black males around Earth are not supposed to have any money. It's very true.
Okay, so Jeff, what do you think about it? I mean, I know you're 25. When you hear what Ro says, how does that differ from what you're hearing when you go out into the world?
So that is interesting to hear a lot of that stuff, because you see a lot of what's being pushed nowadays, and not to say that it's a bad thing or anything, is like women empowerment, women liberation, feminism, things like that. So when you hear those things, you hear of women that feel like that they don't need a man to be successful, that they don't need a man to live their life, they don't need a man to do X, Y, and Z. And a lot of that is true. But at the same time, I think in those cases, you run into an issue of, I think a lot of what Rose says, like you run into the emasculation of something. Now, although I don't agree with everything Rose said, but I do think that some of that does play a factor into what is taking place nowadays, just especially in America. Just a lot of, I'm not going to say a complete confusion, but some of it is kind of confusing. Some of it is like the emasculation. So I do find that interesting, some of those comments that she says.
I want to point out that it is not possible for someone living in America to agree with everything that I say. You live in an ignorant bubble.
But I do.
Okay, Mary, you say you agree.
I agree.
Elaborate.
Maybe it's the Creole in my French blood, but I agree.
And that is so interesting because I don't know how old Miss Mary is here. I'm 44 years old.
I'll
And
be 40 next month.
yeah, we're all probably the last living people from Louisiana who can give people a direct example. We're the only Black Americans who can give people a direct example of how we operate in order to achieve generational success. We don't have generational success in any group outside of Louisiana for Black Americans. We don't have it at all. You have little tiny sprinkles of generational success, but no groups outside of Louisiana. And after we die, that's it.
Okay, so Tia, you're looking down. It looks like you're taking notes to prepare your.
No,
I'm
I'm not taking notes. People are actually texting me saying like, "Oh my gosh, this is a wild conversation. Comments are wild. Rolling wild."
So what are you hearing, and what's your reaction to everything you just heard?
So I definitely think that Black men have been emasculated, and there has been a historic plan to not only emasculate them, but to rob them of their ability to be in a place of leadership in the world and in their household. So I don't disagree with that. What I do disagree with is the notion that women shouldn't support men on their journey. I think when we dissect the end result, which is that men don't have enough power right now, how do we get to a place where men can be more powerful?
So do you think
let me finish what I'm saying, Ro, because I didn't interrupt you. So
okay, I'm
I
gonna
think
wait for that.
in a place right now where a lot of men, I don't want to say all, but a lot, right, have not had the supports necessary to get to a place where they can actualize their goals. So when we look at John, what he was saying is, I'm at a place where I didn't have someone to, because when in Hollywood, how people get ahead is your uncle, your dad, your godfather opens a door for you, finances your project. I don't have that. So I need someone who I'm looking for to be a partner, to be patient in that part of my journey, right? So for someone like John, I would say it's also about who you're picking. Right. So it's not just about the timing. Like, you don't always have to start together, but again, this goes to the value. How am I picking someone who sees the value in my journey? And also, am I expecting a commitment from someone who I'm not committed to? Because what you're asking her to do is behave like a wife, but it sounds like she was a girlfriend or someone that you were talking to. So I think that African-American women do realize that they have to, if they're looking to be in a committed relationship with someone, they can't always assume that he's going to have all the resources together. So that's why we're looking for someone who wants to be in. I think a healthy decision is to look for someone who shares your values, who has a goal, who is working towards their goal, but also who, if they ask for a commitment from you, they're giving you a commitment, right? So you don't need to be your wife, to be your backbone, to be your team member. I need to now know that I am your wife. So the lady that you were with, you were dating her. She wanted to go on dates. Now, if she was your wife, she would have a different responsibility.
So,
okay,
Tia, how long have you been married?
I love when you ask these questions. I don't think that it's fair to say different identities devalue parts of your expertise or opinion. Similarly, I could say, how long have you done this? How long have you done this? And the reality is that we can.
This is very easy to get a broke man to be
come from a first-person perspective. If I was married and divorced, does that mean something different?
How many generations have you been married?
How many generations in my family?
Yes.
I'm going back?
Yes.
Again, tell me more. Tell me more about why this matters. Because we're talking about big picture. We're not talking about the individual. We're not giving
because the purpose of marriage is generational success and personal growth, not love. Okay, that's just
I wasn't talking about love. I was talking from a value-based perspective, which is to ensure success.
You're not.
I didn't mention love at all. I talked about support. I talked about ambition. I talked about goals. I talked about commitment. I didn't talk about love.
I don't know if that's fair because I'm not married either.
Okay, let's go. I have okay. How about this? What are wife duties?
Anybody want to answer?
Share Share your point without trying to attack identities that the people hold.
This is an open.
Share your point without trying to attack identities, because
this is an open
multiple
question for everyone. Because it is not helpful for our people to learn more ignorance. And so my question remains: what are wife duties?
Well, wait. Okay, so in fairness, though, I wonder if that's a question that could be answered differently depending on the relationship. I mean, is there room?
You can ask the men what are husband duties. It's a very sexist angle.
No, it's not.
You didn't ask men if they were married, if they were parents. It's very interesting how women tend to attack the identities of women when they're having an expansive conversation about perspective.
No, ma'am. Internationally, I can ask this question to women outside of USA, and I will get very specific answers. So it should not be difficult for me to ask, what are wife duties?
Share what your perspective is of wife duties.
I'm asking anyone here, what are wife duties?
How about Noma Langa? I haven't heard from you for a second. What are wife duties? What do you think is the duty of a wife? Noma.
I wasn't trying I wasn't trying to answer the question, but I did want to interject that we have to understand that we are looking at this from very, very different perspectives. And I think what we always have to look at is what is the end result and what is the outcome. I always say that we throw around a lot of ideas, but we are the first to admit that, for example, in America, Black love, Black marriage, Black relationships are in jeopardy. They're terrible. We don't know what's wrong and all those things. To start to associate the ideas that we put together collectively and say, this is how we should do things, and then see what is the result. So I think, we don't have to put each other on the spot, but it is that to understand what's the position that I'm speaking from, right? If you talk about marriage, what is the purpose of marriage? If you ask me about marriage, I'm going to speak from an African perspective. And an African perspective is marriage was never about love. It was about gaining wealth, power, and influence. And it still should be, but some people don't do it for that reason. And then they act surprised that it doesn't work. So, like I said, where you're looking at it from is very, very important.
Okay, so let me ask. Let me bring some guys in here. So, John, what are you learning from this conversation? I mean, I think we learn a lot from hearing from not just from hearing from women, but also from women with different points of view. What are you learning when you're listening to these ladies go back and forth on this?
It's really interesting because I'm definitely learning a lot. I've been following because I like to take in different perspectives. I've been listening to Ro, even following her and her videos is very, very interesting, and have been learning a lot. Because if you stay in this one, especially living in LA and in the South, two different extremes, it's like you're in an echo chamber because you keep hearing the same thing, and you're not learning anything. So what I have been learning is the new definition of what a man is and what a man should be, just from listening, and what a woman should be. But also, because I think our issue here in America for Black Americans is that we've been allowing white America to tell us what we should be, have been allowing them to interject and influence and really have a large say in our homes, and that's taken away from the Black man, that's taken away from the Black woman, and we don't really have any kind of control, in a sense, if you extend it on into our own households. It's like I can barely raise my own kids because white America has something to say about it. I can barely have a discussion with my wife and try to run my own household because white America is trying to come in and tell me how to run my house and tell her how she should, respond to her husband and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think something we need to do is just redefine really look at what a man is, what a man should be in the Black home, and what a woman is and what a woman should be in the Black home as well. And then we can definitely grow from there because it's just a lot of confusion. I agree with Ro in a sense, and because of media has been confusing us for a long time.
And just to go off John's point, and this is kind of a question I want to pose to either Ro or Ms. Noma Lange, but I hear you say that you don't marry for love, you marry for wealth and building wealth and generational wealth and all that stuff. But that's kind of confusing to me, because it's like, yes, I can marry someone who I know is successful. I know if we're together, we will be successful as far as building wealth or having amounts of money or a certain status or whatever. But if you don't love them, or if you don't have an affection towards them, how can that work? Like that's what I'm kind of confused about.
Most
because
of
I
us
feel like
don't
it should be
even
a
know what
combination of
love
both.
is. Most of us don't
That's
even
a-
know what love is. There needs to be an attraction. There needs to be physical attraction. And most people confuse love with physical attraction. And seriously, that's good enough. So you have to have the physical attraction aspect. You have to be able to look at the person's family. You're marrying their family. You're not just marrying that person. And you have to make choices conscious based on generational success. Love is a deep thing based on commitment and actions. It has almost nothing to do with infatuation. So a lot of people confuse those things. Yeah, you need to feel infatuated. You need to feel attracted. That's cute and everything. And it's definitely needed. You're not even going to be interested in someone that you're not attracted to. But love is supposed to grow after marriage. And so many of us are totally confused, doing it the opposite way, going through the motions with someone who we're not committed with, and then not being able to stick it through because you're playing house before you got married.
And now one thing, so just to go off that, you said, when you get married, you're marrying them, you're marrying their family, and this is just for anyone. It's like, what if you have like one of those? So if my family ain't shit, I just don't deserve love. Like, I mean, that's kind of like.
Well, at least
some
you
of the challenges in our community.
Your ancient family.
Yeah, it speaks to some of the challenges in our community as we see people who are trying to do things differently, who are trying to grow, but come from immediate families where there's trauma, where there's, breakdowns, and you're trying to figure out, how do I move forward if I want to make healthy choices? And so it is a challenge. I definitely think that the value perspective is the key, right? Like someone who wants to be a partner and who you share the values with. So it can't just be, oh, she's beautiful. And I think a lot of
can I say something?
Okay, wait. So Noma, go ahead, Noma.
I was gonna say also, it has a lot to do with our conditioning. I hear, I was on a panel the other day with you gentlemen, and all of you talked about how women or the ladies you've run into tend to be attracted to men who are, for lack of a better word, thuggish. They don't want the straight and narrow, dorky, nerdy guy, and so on. So that is conditioning. But if you're healthy and you're conditioned by good family, you should feel repelled by a man that will not be for you, and you should feel attracted and grow in love with a man that is good for you. If you feel attracted to someone who's not good for you, that is
women who are chasing thugs. Why are you attracted to women? Like, there's so many women of value.
Right.
There's so many women who are nice. So many women who would want to be your partner. So when I watch the similar panel, that's what I
finish my point.
You're
Can I finish my point?
Go
Can I finish my point?
Go ahead, Noma.
Can I finish my point? Yes. So again, it's very important to understand how we're conditioned, right? So again, let's remove love from this. If alcohol, we understand, is toxic to of it, but you still feel the need to drink too much of it, we're not going to say, oh, that's what she prefers. We're going to say you have a disease because you're drawn to something for you, not good to you, and that will destroy your life. You can take that and put it back into relationships. If you feel love and affection and attachment to something or someone that does not help you grow, that does not make you feel deep in love and is not deep in love with you, isn't building something, isn't going to build with you for hundreds of years, because we're never just looking at the person in front of us, we're thinking far ahead. If you're attracted to that, okay, you have to ask yourself some questions. Why? What's wrong?
Mhm.
And it seems that we can do that with many areas of our lives. But then when it comes to love relationships and marriage, we want to have 100 different preferences and say that anything goes.
Okay, so let me jump in real quick, and then Mary, I'd like to go to you. Everybody, I want you all to know what we're doing today. We're having a conversation about love and relationships, and the fundamental question was, can a woman truly love a man with no money? But we spun into a lot of different issues in terms of how we can do things better. And our panelists, I'll mention them very quickly. We have Jeff Licey Jr. from Ball Sports, John F. Thomas, an award-winning filmmaker and director. We have Nomalanga Mushali Moses from the BlackHomeschoolGuide.com. We have Ro Klangwa, aka Mrs. G. I'm practicing, Ro, I promise. And we also have Mary Dean, the Wall Street lawyer from FlyNewBeanQueenTV.com, and also Estia Brown, who's a relationship therapist. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. Also, we believe in controlling our image. So tonight we're doing Black Movie Night, and we're going to watch Stock Option by Mark Harris, which is a Black love story. So if you like Black love stories, or you want to see Black people loving each other on screen, and you want to also join a conversation with the director, join us tonight, 8 p.m. You can register at blackmovienight.net. It's totally free. You don't have to pay money. All you have to do is pay attention. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. Very important. Please help us build Black media. So, Mary, you had something to say in response to what was just laid out here. Please go ahead.
Yes, I love hearing Miss Nomalanga speak when she get a chance. And I love the advice that she said about being attracted to things that are harmful to you.
Mhm.
And applying that to your relationships, because I think that that's what we all need healing. That's where it shows where you need healing work. And we do. We're traumatized people in America, African Americans, and what they call us, foundational Americans. We're traumatized people. So we do need to heal a lot of things. But as for me, a Black American woman who grew up in the United States of America, it is very hard for me to look up to my man as the male that I'm supposed to follow if he does not know how to bring home bread and butter. I can't follow him anywhere. I can't listen to him. He don't know how to eat. Maybe he should listen to me. And so that's where, those gender roles, I'm a very alpha female. I am a pit bull in a skirt. And so in order for me to be with a man, he has to be a very alpha male. And I like gender roles. I like to be in my place. I want to wear the dress and the high heels. But that requires me to be with a man that allows me to feel like a woman. And if he can't eat, if he doesn't know how to make money in America, if his America has been too traumatized, because my life has been traumatizing.
Right.
I come from a Black family just like you do, right? And if I've had to overcome all of that trauma in my family and DNA and generations, then I want someone who has a soul that is comparable to mine. You can't leave my house, and no, I can't even think about having children with you if the words that you speak don't know how to put power on your plate. If you don't know how to walk with stand up as a square, because I have had to learn how to stand up on my square and find my crown. So you women and men want that and deserve to have that kind of respect in their household. But hey, it costs to be the boss.
Well, Mary. Well, let me just say this. Mary says she's a pit bull in the skirt. I found a picture of a pit bull in the skirt.
That is not you, Mary.
You and Mary. You are far prettier than a pit bull in the skirt. So, so I just want us to have that visual. To know you are not a pit bull in the skirt, but you are a successful woman, and I think that's great. So what do you think about that? I mean, she says you have to pay the cost to be the boss.
I do not agree with this. Men do not need to earn respect. Men earning respect is like saying that men have to earn being loved, because
I didn't say earn.
Well, you said that you couldn't respect him unless he was a certain way.
Respect is just something that you have. It's either you have it or you don't. But like for instance, when I walk into the room, people respect me because it's in my aura. Right? Yeah. It's just who I am. And so it's not necessarily something that you can, it's just something
we have to remember about our feminine nurturing. We have to remember what our feminine power is. Our femininity is still somewhere in there. It is up to us. It is up to us. It is up to us to nurture men, not males, because they need to go back to their mama if they're still a male. but it's up to us to nurture men to be and stay as their greatest selves. Dismissing a man because he's not where you want him to be right now is very, very matriarchal. It's very, very Black American. There are so many men who are hardworking or at least willing to work hard. We need to be searching for a man willing to work hard, a man who knows how to love a woman, a man who wants to work very, very hard for you. So those are the ways that men love us. We don't need to take the position that if he doesn't qualify right now, because guess what? If we gave this advice to Black American women, they will die alone.
Well, I also spoke
die
about my
alone.
sister in her situation
Right.
where she supported her
Your
husband, and now
sister
they're
is
doing $1 million
it's an
a month in
abnormal
payroll.
situation.
Wait, but hold
It's
on.
an
Hold on.
abnormal situation.
But I want to hear. So tell us about your sister, Mary. Go ahead.
So again, my sister and her husband, they've been together since I was in middle school. And I know when she was in nursing school, he supported her while she was in nursing school. When he started his business, he didn't take a salary from his business from the first 2, 3 years in his business. He didn't take a salary, which means they were living on just my sister's nursing salary. Fast forward to today, they're doing $1 million in payroll a month with employees in a big business that has allowed her to leave her nursing career and work in his business with him full time. And so I think that that's a wonderful example of rocking with your man through a down, quote unquote, broke patch, and then being able to reap the beautiful rewards. That's love. I love you no matter what. Because no matter what, he was still very strong. He was still very much a provider. He was still very much the man of his household, and none of that changed. And so
You're not the provider if you don't pay all the bills. You're not the provider if you don't pay all the bills.
So that's what I'm saying. You're contradicting yourself if you say, "Well, we can't tell women to disrespect."
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
But then on the other
No,
hand,
I'm
I
not.
say, well, look.
No, I'm not. Because Black women need to learn to live within the means of the money that the husband is bringing in. I'm not contradicting myself at all. I am the teacher of wife school. Do you really believe that I don't have solutions? I'm not contradicting myself.
Well,
but
is the solution?
When it's my turn to finish.
But wait, I gotta ask. So, is the solution? But when you talk about
offer something.
I definitely want to hear. So I want to ask you a question too. Is it a one size fits all solution? I think that's a question I would have.
That's what I'm trying to say here. It is not a one size fits all solution. It is the love and the bond that two people can come together and share. And once they have the bond, deciding on this is what's best for our household today, this is what's best for our household tomorrow. But if you have a bond that is stuck and unbreakable, then it should be able to ebb and flow through life's ups and downs together. That's a husband and a wife to me.
Okay. Okay. No, Malanga, you have something to say. Go ahead, and then T. I saw T's hand go. Go ahead, Norma. I know. Okay, class. Raise your hand.
I was just gonna offer that. First, I want to say I like to refrain from personalizing things. But if we're gonna look at the situation and step away a little bit and just say the man who started a business and he had a wife, and for a while he had a good family structure. For example, my father let me take care of a man for years while he built his business, and I was the man while he was building his business. What he would offer would be, how about I help you and your husband build a business so that my daughter be the man, and then you still get the same result. You can still make $1 million a month in payroll or whatever, but you haven't compromised your wife and haven't asked her to work, bear children, clean the house. I mean, guys, listen, there's a reason why we keep hearing these things about women having giant fibroids, obesity, and all these other things. We are taking on too much.
I agree with that.
That's something that we're trying so hard to pretend is okay, and it's normal, but it isn't. It's horrible.
It's
And
horrible.
if you really love a Black woman, you shouldn't want her go through all that. And if there are enough male family, they will recognize that a woman is about to be put through trauma, stress, overwhelm, and fatigue, and they will